Hello, my name is Jordan Patton, and I was helping with the sprite development process as well as some of the concept art design process of the game Apostasy. Now, the game Apostasy is a game similar to Vampire Survivor, which is a roguelike survivalist game. We have to survive against hordes of enemies, and it's sort of like a top-down perspective with a pixel art inspired art direction. So I thought I could enlist some of my skills using pixel art, though I would consider myself still a beginner in the pixel art design process. Now, it was a challenge at first, when I joined, it was a challenge because I wasn't quite sure what Vampire Survivor was, so I had to look up some vampire type things at first, but I started to gear away from this art direction once it became clearer to me what other people's ideas were. As other people were posting ideas for their enemy designs, and it was like we started to go in a direction, an ice theme type direction, where there were ice themed enemies and ice themed assets. It's like an ice cube enemy. There was a penguin designed enemy. There was an owl. So we started to go more in that direction. And once it became clear what we were doing, I was able to um, make my art accommodate to that vision. So as far as my ideas in the art process goes, at first I was like looking at vampire type stuff, but once it became clear it didn't have to be explicitly about vampires, I was able to do more stuff. So some of this art was stuff that could be included in the game, but didn't have to be. Because I had made this stuff before I had joined Apostasy, as I wanted to practice making pixel art, making, lots of different things. My art style is similar. I took inspiration from a lot of Mario stuff, as Mario is something that I'm passionate about in Nintendo games. So my art style is a bit more, for lack of a better word, cutesy. Um, I practiced making some GIFs. I made this cloud that spits wind and a moving note block and a balloon. I made some cakes and sweet items like cupcakes, chocolates, cookies, jello out of pixel art. And that was something that I made when I was still learning how to do pixel art. And this is some stuff I made for the game design process. This is a desert background. I took inspiration from Mirage Saloon Zone from Sonic. I have a little bit more inexperience with making backgrounds, so this was a good practice for me. I also tried to make a sunset as it goes from darker purple to a lighter purple, and there's cacti, there's rolling hills, there's canyon rocks, and the cacti get smaller as you go out into the background. But I think I could have used a smaller pixel size, maybe a higher resolution, but I know that for future reference. I also have this. I also have an asset I made for a separate game that I could try and port over to this game. Maybe I could tweak it a bit, maybe tweak the background a bit to make it more in line with Vampire Survivor. But I was working on a term project for a separate class, and I thought I could import some of those assets into here, maybe but change them a bit. So this is before I do that. So I have these chicks and these bird houses and these like tree leaves and this like waterfall type thing. As it was a game about chickens and it was a shmup and it was from a top-down perspective as well. Funny enough. So there was that. This again is more art I did before the project, just to give an idea of what my style is and to give the game designers an idea of just the type of thing that, who knows, maybe I could import some of these assets into the game. This is a music lady with a note with a music box on her back, inspired by the one from Super Mario Brothers 3. Uh, she has very big eyes. I'm trying to make my art more expressive. She I try to use complementary colors like oranges and purples. She gave her curly hair because I thought that would fit her personality. And there's some music notes on the side as well. I made this using Procreate, which is something I'm still trying to get better at using. I think I still have a lot to learn. Like there's lots of thick lines and a mixture as well as thin lines, so I think that's something I could work on because it looks kind of strange. So now we're getting into the more apostasy type stuff. This is a polar bear enemy design concept I made. I used watercolor brushes and I tried to mix the watercolors to make some gradients, like a darker bluish purple that mixes into red. I wanted to make it a polar bear as we're gearing more towards an icy enemy design type art style, game direction. I gave him a big red nose because I thought that would be in line with the color scheme of reds and blues and whites. I gave his snowboard a little face. If you see on the bottom, he has a little. There's a little face on the snowboard because I took inspiration from Mario art style, and the Mario art style they put faces on everything. They put eyes on the hills. They put faces on platforms. Sometimes, not all the time. So I took inspiration from that. I gave him little angry eyes because I thought he'd be an enemy, even though he is a bit on the cuter side. And there's icicles coming from his jacket, as well as icicles dripping from his hat, which kind of looks like Santa Claus a bit, and that was intentional. This is again an environment that could be used in Apostasy. It's a music theme factory I made before Apostasy, but I could import the asset over. Uh, Again, here I tried to take inspiration from Mario. If you played Mario games before, you know that their themes are very, very strange. They have lots of very weird themes, and that's one of the reasons why I love Mario so much. So I thought a music theme factory would be cool. There's bullet bills. I tried to break the border of the art because I like to break the border because I think that's interesting. Um, I use pinks and blues because pink and blue go together, as well as yellow. There's pianos, there's cogs because it's a factory, there's music notes because it's music themed, and there's a trumpet, and there's pipes because it's a factory as well. There's also a drum. Now we get to the goblin design enemy. I think I want to experiment with a higher resolution, see if I can make it look less blurry, but there was actually another goblin designed enemy, and I wanted to pixelify the art that someone else made. So this is that, and he's green and purple because I thought those colors would go together. I tried to make him look interesting with like the silhouette, but the silhouette was already done for me. But the main challenge was just making it look nice in pixel art form. I think I need to work on some of the resolution type thing. I think one of the challenges I'd come across was importing assets I made on the iPad over to the computer and my phone. Because when I import them over into the Photos app, at times it looks very blurry, and I'm not sure how to fix that. I have come up with a solution though. By taking screenshots of the images, I'm able to keep the quality more nice looking. So maybe I'll try doing that in the future. But I think that I was kind of happy with how it turned out, even though it does look blurry and there could be more improvements made. I tried to add some slight shading to the feet. The color scheme, again, I tried to use the complementary colors, and that was the main thing I did with that. And as far as challenges go, um, I think that it was also a challenge to come up with ideas, as I haven't really worked in a team before in terms of game design. So it was tough to figure out how mixed in with everyone else. And I think as the project moved along, and it's still moving along, as I think we're going to still do it in spring, I think I'm starting to get a better handle on how to communicate with my teammates and how to figure out how to make my art fit the game designer's vision. I think I'm also have a better understanding of how to make sprite sheets, as I did some more sprite sheets in my animation class, as well as I had to make sprites for a game in my term project for my computer science class. So I think I have a bit of a better idea of how that works, as well as the animation process, how to animate sprites. So I'm also watching more YouTube videos to help me get a better idea of what's the correct resolution, how to take inspiration from art, but still make it look like your own, as well as figure out how best to make pixel art that still keeps its pixel art quality without upping the resolution so much that it just turns into painting. So these are all things that I'm still learning and trying to get better at. So I think that this was a good experience for me, and I was happy to show my art today.